Alright guys, so this is my video showing basically my mapping for the Midi Figther 3D. It's basically super simple and it is for tractor, so let's get going on it. I'm going to plug it in. There's the opening ceremony. Pretty neat stuff. Now obviously I have all 4 banks set up for different things. My mapping is basically well, first of all, the mapping is basically a variation of using the instant gratification and using 2 decks. So if you're wondering the color scheme, my fiance had actually gotten me the original one, and it was originally mapped for instant gratification, so hence the color scheme. But basically, this is bank number 1. It's used to control 2 decks. This button right here basically controls the play function for the deck that is the focus deck. So here, I'll show you. It's basically mapped to queue number 1. So whatever the track you have, queue number 1. The button right next to it's labeled, it's green in my situation because it's meant to press play. So that gives you an idea. Basically everything else is instant gratification. All these 3 rows of buttons. These top 2 have actually been modified though to control effects on deck A and deck B. Once again, this is a mapping that's made to be a 2 deck focus with samples. So for example, I have this one actually blinking to let me know as a sign that deck A has effects on. The camera's kind of not capturing it too well, and then this side blinks to let me know that those effects are on. You see kind of the blinking sporadically. So here, I'll show you. This is the focus on deck 1. That's the freeze delay, and I did notice, and I did also put in the notes that there's a slight bug to that. I'll actually show you guys that little bug a little later. But basically that is bank 1 for my mapping. Bank 2 is basically a variation of the cue points, of the sample decks. So quite simply, top row controls samples 1 through 4 on deck C. This next row actually mutes each and every individual sample for that deck. And then obviously the same thing, deck D is sample 1 through 2, 3, 4, and muting of those samples. So like I said, this is a sample deck focus. I'm actually going to be taking pictures of this mapping and post it on the site so you guys can kind of correlate to which button does what. Now this is basically the function on controlling cue points within the songs. So once again, this is cue 1, 2, 3, and 4. These are actually nudge pitching, so this is actually as if you don't have a platter or if you don't have vinyl control, you press one of these 2 buttons. Bottom one actually nudges down, top one nudges up, and this one's actually a tempo sync. So it only syncs to tempo, it's not actually a beat sync. And obviously play, which I have mapped out to actually flashlights, depending on the variation of the beat. So here's an example. And I'll actually show you the nudging. Obviously this second half of it is basically for deck B. So deck A, deck B control. I do have something set up on deck B just to show you. You can't really hear it because it's kind of a soft intro, but this is actually a good example to show you how the light flickers depending on beat. So as the beat intensifies, the light intensifies. Here goes. And I'm actually going to show you how this little tempo sync works. Once again, this is a dubstep song at 140. This song's at 127. So we'll just press this. It literally just synced it to 140. And here I'm actually going to demonstrate that glitch that I was telling you about for this instant gratification. Seems to only happen when you actually switch banks, but right now I have the effects on deck A, it's blinking, and if I were actually to press my freeze delay, it shouldn't work right now. You notice that the light didn't turn on blue, so it didn't work. You actually have to press it twice, which is slightly annoying, but watch, if I press it now, it'll actually freeze it. Once again, nothing major, but it is a little annoying. So you kind of have to press twice on that to make sure it works. Lastly, the fourth bank is quite simply a bank that just actually controls the full, so give me a second, the full parameters of recording, of the actual sample recorder. So basically, this changes up and down the grade of the actual sample. So here, this is down, this is up. So let me show you what it looks like on the actual software. Increase decreases automatically. The next two blue ones underneath it are actually just the volume of the gain of the sample recorder. Green up here is the play and pause function. This red button, and I have it red, it's actually to record and stop recording. The red one right underneath it is also red because it's to actually delete. Say you record the sample and you don't like it, delete it. And this yellow one is the undo function. So if you actually look at it, all of those functions are there on the sample recorder. You have the record, pause, play, your gain, delete. Delete becomes undo after you record something. So if for those of you guys who aren't familiar with the sample decks, and basically this bottom row is just to instantly assign whatever you just recorded to whatever sample slot you wanted. So for example, this top row right here is deck C sample decks and deck D sample decks. So one of these, this loads to sample deck 1C, 2C, 3C, 4C. Same thing for D, 1D, 2D, 3D, 4D. And I've actually not enabled any of the mappings for the motion control on this purposely, because I figured you guys are creative enough that you might want to adjust it yourself. I do, however, have a couple variations of this mapping. For example, I've actually done mappings where a lot of people seem to have liked, obviously, the instant gratification, having the samples on the fly, and then being able to control cue points and nudging and syncing, but have no actual use for the sample recorder because maybe they don't record samples on the fly, maybe they do something preloaded. So I actually have a mapping where this whole fourth bank is actually cleared, so there's nothing assigned to it, which some people might like. I also have one where I've actually modified this to do, if any of you guys are familiar with DJ Shifty's looping function, where you basically loop something and whatnot, and then you could just kind of adjust and do the whole looping thing. It's on DJ Tech Tools, you guys should check it out. But yeah, basically the reason why I left it blank is some of you guys kind of want to do an actual loop function instead, because you guys do that. I haven't set it up because basically I have it set up on basically mapped to the keyboard or on the Tractor Control S2, depending if I'm using turntables in the mixer or the S2. But that's basically it in a nutshell. The only differences are obviously some of these colors intensify, and you get to, basically the colors you guys get to choose whatever you want. The only thing that I have done, once again, like I said, is the blinking of the cue points to let, the effects units, all four for deck A and deck B. The delay function, which lights up blue when it's on the freeze delay, and obviously the play functions for both decks, so you know that they're playing. And yeah, that's it. Hopefully you guys, like this mapping and you guys can use it, and I'll probably record a routine with it to show it off. Alright, thanks guys. DJ Chayness signing out.